I hope you guys have been kind and positive and loving towards dogs. That's the basis of this month of August, and puts a smile on my face when I know that some of you listening to this have done that. Doesn't matter if they were a street dog or someone else's dog, because it teaches you how to treat others' things as your own. And I was on a tangent about love and love expression. And something that ties into love expression is not just about irrational love and irrational positivity. There's something that goes in hand with irrationality. Irrationality is basically it doesn't have to make sense to you or to the other person, because irrationality is the force that opposes the opposition, and it's offensive towards the opposition because the opposition doesn't want you to succeed in life. So irrationality means it doesn't make sense. Like, let's say you had a villain that you were trying to face, and the villain tries everything to get you to be negative, but there you are standing positive, and it messes with people. I wrote about this one time, but I don't know if I ever mentioned it. Manipulation is all about control. So when someone tries to manipulate you and you don't react to it and it doesn't work, that is what drives that manipulator crazy, because they've been trying so hard just to manipulate you, and yet it's not working. Sometimes that's the best way to actually deal with opposition. These past 2-3 weeks I've actually been having conversations with people with very strong views on gender roles and all that garbage. And I love the people, don't get me wrong, I love the people, I respect the people, I accept the people, I just don't agree with them. However, I see how charged they are, and they think I'm not a good person, which is fine, but I also see that it angers them that I don't believe things the way they do. And that is the problem, because you've been so manipulated that now you become the manipulator, that you want me to believe what you believe just because it suits your narrative to life. But you're only dealing with me for a week sometimes. Some people that talk to me are only dealing with me for the next 2 days. Other people are barely dealing with me for the next 2 months. And yet somehow they have a bigger problem about me living the rest of my life with the views that serve me. Filter that I go through is I look at the person that's trying to teach me how they think and how their beliefs serve them. Well, if you're fat, if you're sloppy, if you're annoying and you're violent about your beliefs to the point that you want to be violent towards me and aggressive to that degree, then why would I want to believe something that you believe in? Your beliefs have turned you into a social monster. That's one of the filters I go through. That's the unhealthy version of ruthlessness. So obviously now you know what this video is about. You tapped on it for a reason. It's about ruthless love, ruthless positivity, ruthless loyalty, ruthless in those regards that I've been talking about. Because ruthlessness means without regard of the consequences, the regard of repercussions. Now, this aspect that I just spoke about is ruthlessness to the wrong degree, to the point that you become violent, so you're not actually concerned about other people in the sense of who they are. Jesus was ruthless in his trust towards his Father, God the Father, because you look at him undermining an entire establishment and an empire, the Roman Empire, the Roman Kingdom, and the establishment of organized religion. And for those of you who said, oh yeah, but he started Christianity and that's organized religion, that is a problem of the people that perceived it. The early church was not an organized religion. It was people that were moving by the waves of the Holy Spirit. And I was talking to a girl today, actually, 18-year-old. She got hyped up when I mentioned quantum mechanics. And she was talking about wave detection or wavelengths or something like that, and how it keeps hitting a wall, so they can't really identify quantum mechanics, and that's their biggest hurdle. Some things you can only get so far before you use God as an explanation. That's why they're hard to detect, because you're looking for the wrong thing. Now, continuing on this topic of ruthlessness, the main reason I wanted to talk about it is because Jesus did not regard or hold to such a high esteem and regard the Jewish Sanhedrin, the Pharisees and the Sadducees, because what he was doing was more important. He was there for the downtrodden, the inflicted, the conflicted, the people that really needed him. The people that had been despised and abandoned and rejected their whole life because of something the law said. But the law was being weaponized the whole time. If you want to know why the law and religion itself was weaponized, I have videos on that. It's on a playlist, Church and Religion. And I know I never really finished my tangents about weaponization of the Bible, weaponization of law, weaponization of religion, because it's a very deep topic. But I want you guys to think critically for a minute about why ruthlessness serves, because he treated the Pharisees pretty harsh. He didn't have much of a regard for them or concern about what they had to say, because the impact of the lives of the people that he was helping, of the people that he was enriching, mattered more, to the point that legalism did not matter. So many people want to be politically correct these days that I feel bad for the children that are being affected. I've been talking to kids, both male and female, that are so lost because of all the propaganda that's being fed to them, not just from the left but from the right, because I'm in America, not just from Democrats but Republicans. And I don't appreciate that. I don't like that, because they're kids. They are only just kids. Why does that matter? Because robbing a child of childhood and adolescence is probably the worst thing you could ever do. The reason I believe that is because I've seen the damage firsthand of what it does to people. You have drug addicts, you have people that are so broken that they're not any benefit to society. They make arguments, they make points that sound good on paper, that look good on paper, but they're not practical at all. They're not beneficial to society to the point that their work actually does anything for anybody at all. They're just another cog in the machine. You could easily replace them. They're disposable, effectively. Work ethic and life ethics cannot be taught on the basis of ideology that's politically driven. If people are so politically fueled to the point that they're like, no, but my beliefs and values and all that matters, well, you're not working hard enough for them to matter anyway. You're not a valued member of society, you're not a valued member of your own workplace to the point that your beliefs and values even matter in the first place. So why would they effectively even matter to anybody else? That is why when it comes to love that's ruthless and positive, means I love you despite the repercussions of you not liking me. I'm positive towards you despite the consequences of you not being positive back towards me. And what other people think too. You remember how I told you I went to go buy someone a birthday cake a few weeks ago and I gave someone random flowers? That same person met me at the same store and they shouted out my name in front of everybody and they ran up to me with the biggest smile and they hugged me. No regard. That's a positive ruthlessness. Ruthless trust, ruthless positivity, and ruthless love, all wrapped into one action that everybody can see. And that's my second encounter with the person. And on a quick side note, I find it so weird that people, the reactions are very disheartening. It upsets me to see the reactions of people because it seems like there's been a drought in a desert for millennia in their hearts because nobody's treated anybody the right way. You can't even treat people the right way because your political views and your ideological views and all that crap get in the way of you being a nice person to other people. That is unfortunate to be you. It's unfortunate to be around those people because you can't even do a good thing for another member of society because of what you believe in. So is what you believe in even worth believing in? Think about it. If you can't be good to other people, what's the point of your belief? What is the point of what you believe in? If you fundamentally cannot even like another person and respect another person and accept another person for having views that are not your own and views that contradict yours, and you don't have to agree with them. Look at what it's doing to you. Look at how it's damaging you, because that is the opposite side of ruthlessness. That is you not caring about anybody whatsoever. The other one is concerned about the legalistic aspects of what they think and what they say. I grew up in a small town where the community knew everything and they'd backbite about you and whatnot. But some things I grew up to just say, I don't care what you think because I know me and I know me better than you do. You see me probably 10% of the time, so I don't care what you have to say about me. Like a lot of people probably would say to me right now on the ranch, why are you riding a motorcycle? It might kill you. I know me. I know my skill in riding a motorcycle. Throttle therapy all day long. But that's because I know me. And that doesn't mean I hate them. I still respect them. I still love them. You know, it reminds me of a story. Yesterday I was actually supposed to do this video, but it started, this one ran out of gas and the reserve system on this bike doesn't really work. I think it's clogged and I need to work on that one with my friend because this is not my bike. It's my friend's bike and he's generously letting me use it, which I find favor from the Lord. I've found so much favor from God, and people say, doesn't that undermine the value of what people are doing? No, it enhances the value. You think it undermines the value of what someone did, but it actually enhances the value, because that shows me that God is connecting. Quantum resonance, quantum entanglement shows me that God has put something in their heart that aligns with my heart and my heart's desires. That's the beauty of it. Because someone quite literally just today told me, I told them about a story of how someone gave me $1,000 cycle without asking me for a dime. And they said, just because God put it on their heart, doesn't that decrease the value of what he did? Doesn't that make you feel like he was forced to do it? I was like, no, it melted my heart. Because that means he understood the sensitivity of what I needed at the time, and his heart responded to it quickly. Quantum resonance, quantum entanglement, search it up. It explains the way sometimes you just feel like calling someone. You think about someone and you just do it because that's the Holy Spirit pulling you that way. Now, I was reading the Bible, and before I was going to do this, and then I ran out of gas, and then by the time I got this, battery died out, had to give it a push start, all that. By the time all that was done, it started raining, so I couldn't come here because this becomes an entire swamp basically. So all in all, it was a good experience, kind of a fun experience because I got to ride back in the rain with semi-ball tires here. But I remember reading the Bible just before I left, and I was reading the last two or three chapters of Matthew, and this story is possibly my favorite one because I've been sitting on this one for a while, and I mentioned it in one of my earlier videos a few months ago. But there's a lady that buys perfume and pours it on the feet of Jesus, and she rubs her hair with that perfume on his feet. And the disciples say, you could have sold that perfume, made profit off of it for a decent price, and helped the poor. And Jesus' response is amazing because he understands the investment that she just made. And that's why he said, far and wide, wherever this gospel is preached, she's going to be remembered because she prepared my body for burial. Jesus didn't condemn that. That was her ruthless trust in him, because she knew the price of that perfume. She knew what the opposition would be. She knew the way the disciples thought. And still yet she did it because she trusted him. She loved him ruthlessly. And it also teaches you something about finance. Sometimes it can be the biggest waste in the world. But if you know the sanctity, the sacredness of what you're doing for another person, money does not matter. Money does not give into the equation. I was about to sign up for some business program, and the first email that I got from that person was talking about how a sermon from a pastor had this one very interesting phrase, and it was, if it's God's will, it's God's bill, and heaven isn't broke. So I'm never concerned about money. I never can be concerned about money, not to that degree at least. And it's interesting because you'll see that God finds a way to provide. But moreover, when you show that ruthless trust, that I don't care what other people think, this can be a waste in the eyes of the world, but I know the value, the personally held value of this objective, of this mission, that creates a very, very not volatile, not dangerous, I guess I could say dangerous, because Damon Thompson talks about love makes you dangerous, love like a lamb, dangerous like a lamb. So that's when you can actually kill someone with kindness, because there's some things that you do with ruthless love, ruthless positivity, and ruthless trust that melts someone's walls of their hearts. And they're just like, I don't know what it is about that person, but I love them. Something very unique about them. And that's what I wish upon all of you. Genuinely, I do, because this is where I learned it from dogs. They trust you, they love you, they're positive towards you, no matter what the repercussions of what other people might say, what you might think. They just trust you. They're loyal towards you. They love you. They will give you all the happiness and joy on planet Earth without a regard. There was a pastor I knew, and he said, in public, I don't even hug my own daughters. Society controls you. You can't re engineer. You don't think you have the power of God in you as a pastor to re engineer the way society thinks about you, to the point that it says, look at that man, he loves his daughters, instead of whatever he thinks that they say. See, society is always going to have something or the other to say regardless. Why don't you make it a positive force? Something that questions the integrity, the structural integrity of what they believe, the foundation of what they think, of what they have been taught for so long to believe. Because you're a force for good, you're a force for positivity, you're a force for love. Ruthless trust says, I trust you no matter what other people say about you. I trust who I see in you. I trust the image of our Father that you were originally designed in. That's the person I trust. That's the person I would die for. That's the person I would give my life for. That's the person I would take a life for. Hopefully it doesn't come to that. Ruthless love says, I will love you no matter what they say about you. I had a dream once, and someone whispered into my ear in that dream. Someone very important. And I remember that moment, and that person said, very gently, and it's as if my ears were not listening, but they spoke directly to my heart. Said, no matter what they say about you, I love you till the end. And they knew that they were saying that knowing that there is no end. So their love is endless, no matter what they say. I remember I was watching the news and they were mentioning me in the dream. They were mentioning me on the news. They were saying things. There were people outside of the building I was in shouting, and that person drowned out all the noise. Said, no matter what they say about you, I love you. That's what ruthless trust is. Ruthless love is. Ruthless positivity goes so far beyond. Because irrationality and ruthlessness combine and they create this indestructible force that cannot be reckoned with. Because it doesn't make sense and it doesn't have a concern for what other people say. Now, do you understand the delicate balance between that? It doesn't make sense and it doesn't have a concern of what other people say. So it doesn't have a concern if other people think it doesn't make sense. It is what it is. And that's the beauty of it. Because deep down somewhere inside, it just resonates with you. It doesn't make sense to you, but it resonates with you. Like, yeah, I know I have to buy that person flowers. I know I have to give them a compliment. I know that I have to give them a genuine compliment and say they look the best that I've ever seen them ever. Means appreciating them, even though it doesn't make sense, even though you might not particularly like them on that day. And that is where you understand the fascination that God has with you, the love that God has for you, the appreciation that God has for you, the love, the positivity that God feels towards you. It doesn't make sense to the world. Atheists are still trying to consider why God would create the world, why He would create humanity if He was supposed to manipulate them all along, blah, 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 blah. It doesn't make sense. It's irrational, but you know the interesting thing about irrational numbers? They're a whole number. They just can't be divided or something or the other. Look up the definition of an irrational number. It's a whole number, but it's irrational because mathematics cannot define it correctly. They cannot make sense of it through other numbers. So when your logic starts to fall apart and you can't equivalent it to something that you've known your entire life, what do you see? You see irrationality, but it's a whole thing in itself. And that is the way God feels about you. His love, His trust, His hope in you, His positivity towards you is irrational, but it's ruthless because it says, I don't care what someone else has to say about how poor he is, how abandoned he is, how rejected she was. I love them as I love you guys. Y'all are wonderful supporters. I honestly feel so comfortable with 800 subscribers right now, to the point that if I had 80,000, it's probably why God doesn't want me to have 80,000 or 8 million right now. Because I'm building something. We're building something together. You, me, and God makes 3. So I'd love to see you guys understand this concept of irrationality and ruthlessness, because when you tie them together, it becomes this not just indestructible but unstoppable force. It's like, it doesn't have to make sense. The way I've been treating people in my life personally, those who are in very close circles with me. They know how ruthless I can be and how irrational I can be in my love for them, in my positivity towards them, in my trust with them. To the point that some things that they've done could have led me to a jail cell, probably, maybe. But I didn't care. I didn't care about those repercussions because my love for them says, I'm going to let the whole world burn down if it means I get this with them. You know how ruthless trust works? You remember I've been shooting videos in the bed of a truck, in the console of the truck, in the driver's seat and stuff. That person always says, you spend so much money on me and you never ask me to pay you back. Do you know why? I said, buddy, you have given me something that is priceless. You're trusting me with your vehicle, which you consider your baby. Why would I ever ask you to pay me back? I can't pay you back for the trust. There's no amount of things that I could ever buy and never ask you to give me a refund for that replaces or puts a value to the essence of trust that you've given me in that. And he doesn't understand it. There are people in my life back home in India that they trust me with their vehicles, they trust me with their life. So I don't care about money. Money does not render in my mind when I'm doing things for them. Because their trust is so valuable. Their love is so valuable. Their positivity is so valuable. I don't know why it doesn't render in other people's mind at all. I wish I could understand people to that degree where they're just like, yeah, but you can put money in things. I can't, because that's the irrationality aspect of it. And I genuinely find myself wanting the best for everybody around me, especially if they're really close to me. And that irrationality and ruthlessness is what ties together to create me as a very straightforward person. Because I will not lie to you. I will not deceive you. I will not go against you. Because in doing so, I go against myself in some way. I go against God. You were created in His image, weren't you? Think about it. If I'm concerned about what other people think and the repercussions and blah blah blah, that means I don't really trust you. That means I don't really love you. That means I don't really want to be positive towards you. The genuinity, the authenticity, the rawness of it is stripped away. And it becomes orchestrated. It becomes something that you pay to see in a theater. It's choreographed. It's practiced. It's what you put on social media so that you can get likes, comments, and shares on it. Oh, look at what this guy did. There's so much stuff that you should do that no one needs to ever know about. Think about it like black ops, secret operations from heaven above, where you just impact someone's life and no one ever knows about it. Can you imagine that? Imagine changing the world exactly like that. You are like God's special, super special secret operations operator. You're spec ops for God. And the best part about it, no one knows. No one knows what you do. No one knows the things that you say. No one really knows you except for God. But you know the impact that it's bringing in the world. That is what irrationality and ruthlessness does. I want you to actually take that analogy to heart. Because when you do something and nobody ever hears about it, nobody knows about it, you've done the most important thing in the eyes of God. Imagine how much of God's life, of Jesus' life, is documented in the Bible. A couple of books, but the Bible is 66 books long. And yet His mysterious ways never end. They know no end. So you can imagine all the stuff that He did that was never recorded. When He went to the mountain to pray, He may have met someone. He may have met an animal, healed that animal. Who knows? There was so much stuff that Jesus probably did that never hit the records. That Matthew, Mark, Luke, John, nobody ever knew about. Probably Mary. She knew, but she probably was told not to write those things. Because see, John understands this. John the Beloved and Paul. Because they're shown things. Both of them are shown things by God. And they are told that you can't share this with the general population. You can't share this with the people because it's not their time. They don't even believe in me. How are they supposed to believe in what you said or what you did? So they understood secrecy to that point where it's like, yeah, we're secret ops. We understand. Mission understood. Mission acquired, target accomplished. That was a joke I came up with for a TV series I was writing. That's a one-liner. Mission acquired, target accomplished. But in all serious regards, I want you to take that analogy, take it to heart, understand what it's trying to say to you. Because I know sometimes you can struggle with doing the right thing, and I wish I knew, that person knew, or I wish that person knew, and blah blah blah. You can go through all of these filters, but it's not going to change the fact that you did it and you impacted someone's life. So does anybody really need to know? That person knows. God knows. That person cares. God cares. That's all that you should ever be concerned about when it comes to that. Look, the wind is coming. Even the wind now knows and is agreeing with me. It's coming right up towards me. That's the Holy Spirit right there in real time. We have another 2 weeks of staying positive with dogs, 2 or 3 weeks, and people, and loving them and being kind to them. This week, don't let anybody else know what good you've been up to. Wash the dishes when no one's there. Mop the floors, broom, vacuum, I don't know. Do something that you know will impact and put an ease on someone's life. One less thing for them to ever worry about. Stay blessed for the rest of the week. I hope you have a really good week. That's why these are Monday morning messages, because I hope you really do have a good week.